Hello, Sagittarius. Today, three very different cards step forward and look straight into your soul. One speaks for intuition, one for karma, and one for the truth that's been hiding in the dark. Intuition isn't here to frighten you. It's here to remind you that what you've been sensing is not your imagination. You already know something is moving in the shadows. You've just been hesitant to name it. The law of balance is circling back to return what has always belonged to you, even the things you thought were lost. And somewhere a mask is starting to crack, revealing the true nature of someone or something that once walked beside you looking harmless. There will be a conversation you can't avoid, a decision that must be made, and a door that closes without making a sound. When that happens, don't mistake it for an ending. It's simply the universe clearing the path so your soul can step into the space it truly fits. If you've been paying attention lately, you've seen the signs, like notes in a melody repeating themselves. Before everything opens up, stay grounded. Write a calm word beneath this message as a way to hold your energy in place, so the storm can't pull you off course. Choose clarity, because the words you speak right now are both your armor and your key. Now, come a little closer. Don't rush, wandering heart of fire. You've been hearing a call inside you for a long time, but you haven't known how to explain it. It's not a clear plan, not a full thought, more like a warm current rising from your chest, brushing your awareness, then disappearing. Sometimes it makes you excited. Sometimes it makes you restless. Don't dismiss it. It's the primal voice of your soul, the part of you that can see farther than what others call reality. That feeling isn't sensitivity or overthinking. It's a signal, like a flare fired into the night sky before a storm. It's telling you the air is changing, that news, encounters, and events are already approaching. And you didn't land here by accident. That inner pull led you to this message at the exact moment you were ready, not earlier, not later. There is a silent guide standing beside you, not to preach, but to listen to the things you've never spoken out loud. I can see you've lived a long time with your feelings pressed down, just enough to survive. There were moments when you laughed things off, not because everything was fine, but because you knew that naming the truth might cost you your strength. You've carried other people's thoughts, expectations, hopes, and disappointments, as if that was your duty. You became a pillar for others even when your own heart was splitting in quiet lines. You stood firm in storms you were never shown how to shelter from. And now, what you've given is on its way back to you, not as applause or pretty promises, but as quiet shifts like dry earth slowly drinking in the midnight rain. You won't recognize it with your eyes. You'll feel it in the calm that spreads through your chest. That peace has its own texture. It doesn't push, it doesn't demand, it doesn't make you strain to understand. It simply fits, and when it touches you, you'll know. I also see something gently closing in this season, not with conflict or drama, but with an awakening inside you. You no longer want to hold on to what drains you, just because you got used to surviving it. Sometimes exhaustion doesn't come with noise, it comes with long silences. You start feeling irritated by things you used to tolerate. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never truly listening, and a natural distance begins to form between you and the connections that can't grow at your pace. That isn't loss, it's refinement. Don't fear that feeling. You're not losing anyone. You're pulling your spirit back from places that no longer honor it. Healing isn't always stitching a wound shut. Sometimes healing is accepting that you've outgrown the pain you once carried. When your frequency changes, the energy around you has to rearrange. Anything that can't walk forward with you will fall away on its own. There are dreams so vivid they shake you awake in the middle of the night, your heart racing as if you just heard a distant calling. There are memories you thought were gone, but they return with the clarity of an old film playing in your mind. Songs repeat themselves over and over, as if the universe is sending you signals. Names, numbers, chance encounters, they start threading together into a map your soul is trying to show you. The sacred energy whispers, "This isn't random, these are signs." Your soul is teaching you its own language, asking you to trust the pull inside you, even when your logic is still catching up. Sagittarius, be practical with that intuition. Don't ignore the things that keep showing up. Write down your dreams. Listen to the rhythm in your chest. Take a step when your instincts nudge you, because that is your inner compass. You're rebuilding yourself from the core, and that is the greatest architecture a soul can create. The law of balance is returning, not with a drumbeat of judgment, but through endings and openings. Meant to teach you what fairness looks like, especially toward yourself. Justice never arrives with noise. It comes like a light touch, quietly putting things back where they belong. The delays you once resented now reveal themselves as protection. The doors that slammed shut, the people who walked away when you needed them most, they were detours designed by something higher, guiding you away from paths that were never yours. Sometimes life makes you wait, not because you're unworthy, but because your destination deserves a cleaner arrival. Justice doesn't seek revenge, it resets the scales. Every lie that hurt you will return as a lesson to the one who cast it. Every act of dishonesty you bore in silence will one day mirror itself back to its source. You don't have to strike back. Nature does that work quietly, cleanly, and on time. Sagittarius doesn't need swords to fight. When the moment is right, truth lights itself up. Your greatest weapon is your calm. When the world tries to bait you into reaction, your strongest defense is keeping the fire of your spirit from being blackened by resentment. No one truly wins by stretching out a lie, only the one who stops feeding it rises above. And now, let me turn over the card of the Seven of Swords, the emblem of awakening. That card has frightened many before you, but it doesn't scare you today. It opens your eyes. It speaks of a boundary that was crossed, of someone who believed they'd never be discovered. Maybe someone you trusted, someone who walked beside you with a familiar smile, and that's okay. Betrayal doesn't make you smaller, it shows you who is not meant to walk the rest of the road with you. They don't appear as an enemy, but as a mirror. When your light grows stronger, anything false naturally dissolves. You don't need to hunt or expose or accuse. Time will stain the truth onto their face. Your work is simply to keep moving toward the light, because when your frequency shifts, anything that can't match it will fall away. That too is justice in motion. Remember, people and situations reveal their true nature. Only when your spirit becomes too steady to tolerate the artificial. This shedding wouldn't be happening if you hadn't chosen yourself, if you hadn't said enough to what keeps draining you. Every time you choose honesty, you hand the inner priestess another key, and she whispers, "Don't trip twice over the same stone." Now let me tell you this with warmth so you don't forget it. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is the gift your soul carried into this life. To learn how to feel, how to love, and how to heal. Yes, sometimes it hurts, because the world hasn't learned how to hold hearts that open. But because of that gift, you've known how to light the way for others in the dark, how to speak words that soothe, how to understand through silence, how to forgive with grace. And now the universe is returning that gift to you, not as sacrifice, but as strength. The strength to care for yourself, the way you once cared for everyone else. The strength to speak a holy truth. I deserve love without having to earn it. I deserve relationships that hold and lift me. I deserve rest without guilt. That is the justice your soul has been calling in, the justice of freedom, of self-respect, of light that no longer asks permission to shine. You deserve a life where you don't carry what was never yours. No one hands you your dignity, you realize it, you claim it, and you stand up in it. And when that knowing takes root, everything around you begins to rearrange. You're standing at a quiet, sacred threshold, not just another change, but the crossing point between who you were and who you're finally ready to be. It's as if the emotional skin you've worn is peeling itself away, shedding stories that expired long ago, even if you can't quite see the new light yet. That's why you feel drained in ways sleep can't fix, not body tired, but soul tired, on the edge of rebirth. That's also why silence calls to you now, the same silence you used to avoid. Not because you're weaker, but because your intuition is summoning you home. You postpone conversations not to escape them, but because you need to hear yourself first, before giving your voice to anyone else. Don't force yourself back into old tempo. What's forming inside you needs time to ripen, not pressure to perform. In the meantime, move at the rhythm your spirit recognizes, rearrange your space, as if you're preparing a room for a new soul to move in. Turn your table into an altar instead of a habit. Cook something simple that reminds you of the first person who ever believed you were worth caring for. Walk slowly. Write down a memory that still weighs on you. Then exhale as if setting a box down from your shoulders. Healing isn't a race, and it isn't a report you owe anyone. It's an agreement you make with yourself. From this moment on, I choose myself without abandoning myself. And now let me tell you how justice moves. When the heart becomes clear, your emotional rhythm, once vigilant and sharp, is waking from a deeper layer. It no longer calls someone's name to fill the empty space. You no longer treat love as a life raft whenever your soul starts to surge. From here on, the love you deserve and can offer is born from your inner peace. And when love comes from peace, it doesn't arrive to save you. It comes to walk beside you. Lately, you may feel pulled to reopen an unfinished conversation, or someone who once turned away might brush your life again with a brief message. Someone new could also step in, not to analyze you, not to control you, but simply to be present. Whatever is approaching, the choice is yours this time, and that changes everything. No more half measures, no more emotional acrobatics to keep something standing. That cannot stand. The love that shows up after transformation will steady you more than shake you, assure you more than make you doubt. Not because it's perfect, but because it never asks you to shrink to survive. And if fear jumps up, if old memories rush back like a familiar wind, hold them the way you'd hold a child who's wandered too long in the dark. Whisper, "It's over now and I'm here." Don't run and don't judge yourself. This new heartbeat will help you remember who you are. On the Sagittarius path, a quiet decree rests on your shoulder, not the voice of a priestess, but the nod of sacred justice. It sinks in deeper than you think, and now is the moment to repeat, not as a hollow mantra, but as a command to your soul. Peace is my protective cloak. Everything that is not mine dissolves right now, and what is meant for me arrives in balance, clarity, and ease. Let those words vibrate in your chest, in your throat, in your hands. Nothing more is needed. The beginning has been planted. Now look at daily life, because intuition doesn't only live in the mist. It wants to guide your work, your plans, your money, and the small choices that quietly turn the whole river. Order is being restored. Tighten the schedule. Finish what's unfinished. Return what isn't yours to carry and call back what is. If someone still owes you a response, a signature, a payment, or recognition, be calm. The scales are tilting in your favor as long as you stand straight with yourself. Don't spend your fire on anger when a boundary can solve it. And if something sounds tempting, but has no foundation, remember the warning of the Seven of Swords. Don't take another step until the truth has been brought to light. Deception always loses its power when you hold it under the light of awareness. Your strongest weapon right now is not a counterattack. It's a firm yes when your heart answers clearly, and a gentle but unwavering no when something no longer resonates. Sometimes the deepest act of self-love is stopping, refusing, and you are learning to do that with real courage. In your living space, both the home inside you and the one made of walls and windows, the windows are opening. I can see you changing very small things, but their impact is enormous. Maybe you simply move an object, clean out a drawer full of old versions of yourself, throw away a few pages soaked with heavy memories, pull the curtains wide to let the light in, or light a candle with full presence. These little gestures are sending a signal to your subconscious. I deserve clarity, beauty, and rest. They are waking up the deepest part of you, the part that's been waiting for your permission to renew. The keeper of your inner doorway smiles when you start paying attention to where you eat, where you rest, where you look at yourself. These spaces are energetic gateways, and you are learning to guard them like a sacred steward. But there is one more thing I need to whisper to you. My hand over your heart before I say it, because I don't want it to catch you off guard. When the energy of truth combines with the law of balance, something will knock on your door. It doesn't have to hurt. It might be an offhand comment you overhear. That confirms a suspicion you already felt. It could be a small slip, a furrowed brow, a misspoken line, or a coincidence too precise to ignore. What arrives is not here to break you. It is here to prove that your soul chose correctly when it put itself back in the first position. I hope you won't waste your energy on confrontations, arguments, exhausting explanations. Receive the information, let it pass through your inner filter, then choose the response that honors your dignity. Sometimes the most aligned action is simply releasing the handle of an inner door and walking onward with a lighter step. Believe me, there is no justice deeper than the peace that comes when you know you no longer owe yourself anything. And now, return to what matters. The stage you're about to enter will carry your imprint more than ever before. It won't demand emotional performances or self-compromise. It speaks in clarity, simplicity, and a quiet kind of joy. Your intuition will no longer speak in riddles, but in deliberate repetitions. So if a symbol appears 3 times in these days, a name, a song, a number, a phrase, an image, use it as a compass. Don't cage it in logic, just notice it. Inner wisdom does not force, it knocks until you recognize it. When your body softens at a decision, that is a sign. When your chest tightens, that is also a sign. Trust the body, it is the first compass your soul ever gave you. Life will bring closer the ones who truly love you at the turning points of your season. It will also carry away those who leaned on you as their crutch to the place where they must lean on themselves. Don't grieve those who leave, they are simply being put back where they belong. You are no longer required to be the shoulder that carries everything. Your true home is you. And from a clean, spacious inner house, every new connection, whether love, friendship, or collaboration, will become stronger and more trustworthy. Let me repeat this. With the calm I want to pour into you, you are not alone. There were moments you believed you were, but even when your steps slowed and your gaze fell, you kept moving forward. There is an unseen force, you cannot name it, but many times it has lifted you from the edge and it is still beside you. Justice recognizes you. Your intuition blesses you quietly. Any energy that once tried to harm you will find itself blocked by an invisible wall. That is why I warn you, do not go back into the mud to look for answers. Life has already recorded everything. Your energy now belongs to creating, restoring, adorning the soul, beautifying yourself from the inside out, listening to what the body whispers, and honoring what the heart declares. If the night ever falls on you, bringing 1,000 nameless thoughts, give yourself a ritual simple yet sacred. Close your eyes for a moment. Place one hand on your heart, the other on your belly. Feel your breath move through your chest, touching the pulse of life itself. Let your mind listen without rushing to fix anything. And speak to yourself with the voice of compassion, the way you would comfort someone you love. I forgive myself for the times I was afraid, for the moments I slowed down, for the days I didn't know how to love myself. Then whisper softly, I am worthy, I am enough, I am learning to listen to myself and to choose the path that aligns with my soul. If a tear falls, don't hold it back. It isn't weakness, it's water washing away the old. It isn't loss, it's release. You may find yourself asking when will I see results? When will the truth come out? When will the message I'm waiting for arrive? But the question when only appears after the why inside you has been healed. When the inner reason is at peace, the outer timing unfolds on its own. The moment you become whole, life speeds up to meet your frequency. That's why this phase matters so much. You're tuning the strings of your soul, tightening, aligning, making space for new sounds to rise. No need to rush. Awareness itself is the quietest kind of miracle. As your energy expands, I invite you to create a small ritual. Leave behind a promise in words, an affirmation, a vow, a mark. Write it like a seal, gentle but firm. I open my heart to wisdom, and everything will find its rightful place. That's your energetic fingerprint sent into the universe. And as you do this, listen for the final heartbeat. Before the next chapter begins, your intuition hasn't finished speaking. Justice still holds one last line in its sacred verdict. And the card of truth still hides a clue, one that may change the way you see the past. There will be a gesture, an invitation, a meeting that seems accidental, but it leads you to the crossroads between knowledge and emotion. When we meet again, I'll show you what's been tipping the scales of destiny, which message from the past is returning for forgiveness, and which sign of the present is here to confirm the peace you've worked so hard to earn. Now open your eyes, take a deep breath in. Everything is shifting, not against you. But with you, what's coming next won't just validate your feelings. It will hand you the key to cross the next threshold with steady steps. And now, Sagittarius, traveler of fire and knowledge, look back on the road you've walked. Not to linger, but to acknowledge you've truly come far. What you've done is not small. Keeping your heart open without letting it break requires a quiet kind of courage, the kind that doesn't need a stage or applause. It's the courage woven from the days you kept walking when no one was watching. It's the bravery of looking directly at your pain, without disguise, without escape. You've walked the dim hallways of your own story, opened doors you once feared, and when the light entered, you stayed to understand, to feel, to transform. Even as your chest trembled with emotion, you breathed deeply, let life move through you, and stepped into a higher awareness. That is the courage of fire, to burn in order to illuminate. And now I speak to you, with the calm of someone who has watched many seasons pass. The harvest has come, not because of karma or numbers aligning, but because you, with your steadiness, kindness, and expanding wisdom, have planted your seeds in honest soil. You've sown understanding, faith, and quiet compassion. The universe has seen it. Life has recorded it. Today you begin to hear the distant rhythm of drums, the drums of a new journey, calling you by your true name. And when you answer, the sky opens. Some things will appear softly, a phrase repeated by different voices, a memory once asleep that whispers again, a familiar face returning in a new form, or a small object falling at your feet, just to make you look up. Others will arrive boldly, an unexpected invitation, a door opening right before you, a final conversation that lets you release what's been stuck in your chest. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is random. These are puzzle pieces shifting to match the frequency you're sending out. When you're truly ready, the last fragments of the picture will step out of the blur and click into place. The gifts meant for you, whether they show up as opportunities, encounters, synchronicity, or a sudden turn in your path, won't arrive because of luck, but because of resonance, alignment, and the merit you've earned over time. But with that, some truths will surface too. Truths that might take your breath for a moment, not to punish you, but because nothing new can be born if the old hasn't been seen clearly and laid to rest. It may come as the quiet collapse of a bond that can no longer stand. Someone stopping at their side of the river while you keep crossing to the other. Connections that can't withstand the change within you will drift out of your energy field on their own. Don't pull them back. Imagine the shoreline when the tide rises, old seaweed, broken shells, the remnants of what no longer lives are carried away. That is not loss. That is cleansing. The water clears the sand so the earth can breathe again. And life is doing the same with you, with the same gentleness you once believed only you were capable of giving to others. I see in you the memory of someone who always held things up, always stayed alert, always stood firm, as if falling apart was never an option. You wore the coat of the world on your shoulders, as though asking for one day to be weak was a luxury you weren't allowed. That time is over now. A new tempo is rising. Let your cup be turned upright, so the flow can return to you. Not so you can become someone else, but so you can reclaim the balance that was lost when you kept giving long after you were empty. No one can keep pouring from a cracked well, and even the most generous heart needs its bandages. Your greatest lesson right now is not sacrifice, but receiving. Receive without explaining, without guilt, without justifying why you deserve it. You deserve it because you exist, because your soul is beautiful, because life also wants to love you back. You deserve rest without fear of judgment. You deserve peace without having to guard it every minute. You deserve a love that doesn't tear you into pieces to function, a care that doesn't demand you shrink to fit, a connection that lifts you instead of taking from you. If someone appears, whether it's someone new carrying a fresh current, or someone from the past returning with a shifted frequency, don't slam the door shut, but don't throw yourself forward out of fear of being alone. Your intuition will know when to open the door and when to just turn on the porch light. You no longer build bonds from emptiness. You no longer fill the hollow by clinging. Now you choose from clarity, with a heart tempered by experience and a mind no longer ruled by noise. I also see like moonlight gliding over water, a period ahead where your emotional clarity becomes strikingly sharp. Drawers of memory you thought were sealed might open on their own. Scents, faces, images, and moments that once touched you deeply will return, not to hurt you, but to deliver coherence. Your dreams may grow vivid, speaking in symbols of your journey. Trains, doors, water, houses, old photographs, all whispering in the language of your subconscious. You may even sense the warm presence of a soul no longer in this world, but never truly gone from your path. They don't interfere. They watch the way real love watches, from a world over, draping you in an unseen blanket at daybreak. Do not fear. You have never walked alone, and especially not now that your sensitivity has been polished, and your intuition no longer suffocated by doubt. If tonight you feel the need for quiet, give yourself a simple ritual. Find a corner of your home that still carries the warmth of memory and safety. Light a white candle, not to beg, but to see clearly. And if you don't have a candle, just imagine the flame burning in your chest, because that light was never meant to come from outside. It is your inborn lighthouse, the one that never went out, even when you had to cover it just to survive. Place a glass of clean water in front of you. Sit upright but relaxed. Let your body rest into the chair or floor, as though the earth itself is holding you. Breathe deep, slow, steady. Listen to your heartbeat, like the soft hooves of a horse tapping the ground, or the ocean whispering under moonlight. When you feel your body arrive, shoulders released, mind unclenched, speak this prayer, not as a plea, but as someone calling their soul back from every place it has wandered. In the name of the light within me, I release the burdens and the guilt. I call peace back home, and I allow pure love and sacred wisdom to enter my life right now. Read it slowly, no force, no flourish. Let each word fall inside you, like fresh rain washing an old roof. Feel the warmth spread across your chest, down your back, and dissolve into the air around you. When you're done, blow softly across the water as if handing the river what you no longer wish to carry. Your breath is the act of release. Then pour the water out somewhere it can leave you, into the earth, down a drain, or at the roots of something that knows how to transform. What matters is this. It does not return to your bed, your mind, or your dreams. If you're using a candle, look at its light with gratitude. If you don't have one, just feel the imagined flame in your chest soften. No smoke, only warmth, and whisper a thank you to yourself. Thank you for continuing. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for still being here, Sagittarius, because you have no idea how many times you've been a torch for others without even knowing it. And from now on, that same light will shine for you with clarity, with direction, and with a calm that needs no permission. As you step into this next chapter, you'll begin to notice how the things you once thought unchangeable start to move. You'll realize you're no longer exhausted when someone doesn't respond. You no longer wear patience like a coat to endure things, and you no longer stay in rooms where your sensitivity is treated like a flaw. You won't shrink yourself just so others don't feel uncomfortable. The version of you that's rising, stepping up from stillness like an archer onto new land, wants no cheap connections, no contracts that wound your soul, no presences that only show up when they need something. It wants love that matches you, peace in its true form, and connections that don't fear your silence, but sit beside it with respect. And if suddenly you feel lighter, more fluid, with intuition lighting up like a switch, don't brush it off as luck. It has a name, and its name is healing. It's your soul waking up after a long road. It's your breath finding rhythm again. It's your body shedding memories that have already done their job. And the ones who truly love you, they'll notice. They'll come toward you with quiet presence. They'll be there without intruding. They'll care for you without demanding explanations. Some will apologize for not understanding you then. Some will simply stay silent because sometimes silence is more honest than a late apology. And you, sharper now, because life has rinsed your vision, won't need to explain or defend yourself through arguments. The people who genuinely love you don't interrogate you. They stay. They listen, they reach out a hand without asking for payment. But there is one last thing I need you to do, and you, among the zodiac, have the courage for it. Talk to the Sagittarius child inside you, the child who had to grow up too soon, who carried responsibilities nobody asked for, who held other people's pain instead of letting them learn from it. See them in your mind, their face, their smile, their tears, and speak to them in the same voice you'd use to comfort the person you love most. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You're safe now. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Pause there and let a breath slip out, not from exhaustion, but from returning home, because healing is not pretending nothing happened, not throwing a blanket over the cracks. Healing is living forward without letting the past steer every heartbeat. It's when you understand the rise and fall of every emotional tide and give thanks for the shores each wave in your life has left behind, not to cling to them, but to remember how far you've come. And now you are ready to live with love, without losing yourself, with memory, without wearing chains, with the lightness of someone who knows they're coming home to their inner origin. I tell you this in the voice of someone who has watched your soul walk through places no one else ever saw. You fought battles in silent kitchens while others slept. You stayed awake through nights no one knew you were wrestling with. You wandered long roads with only wind, salt, or streetlight to remind you still existed. And through all of that, you still made room for love. You cooked for the ones who were healing. You listened. You protected. You covered others with your presence. But now life is inviting you to carry yourself not as a duty, but as a coming home. If an opportunity appears, even if it doesn't look like the dream you once imagined, receive it with curiosity, not fear. If an unfinished conversation suddenly returns, let yourself speak. What you've held in your chest for so long, If a short trip, a surprise invitation, a random course, a move, or a new doorway throws you off balance, ask yourself, could this be the shift my soul quietly prayed for? And if fear rises, don't push it away. Let it sit in the back seat, not the driver's seat. Fear isn't here to steer you, it's only a passenger. As long as your hands stay on the wheel, you, more than anyone, know how to read signs. A seashell found on a day without ocean. A song that plays at the exact right moment. The smell of bread, coffee, or wood smoke pulling up a memory that never truly left. Trust your inner compass, like the moon that waxes and wanes, but is never wrong. Your shifting moods are not a malfunction, they are the tides of your soul, telling you where the rocks are sharp, and where the sand is soft enough to stand on. Don't force yourself to stay one shape. Those who truly love you will learn to love your tides, because inside them lies the truth. And if someone cannot understand your depth, do not shrink yourself to fit into the tiny box of their comfort. You are not a coin for someone's pocket, you are a sky, an ocean, a wide, unbounded land. There is something important I want you to remember, with gentleness but with spine. Setting boundaries is not the end of love. Setting boundaries is protecting the soil you've planted, watering the garden within you so it isn't trampled. Your armor is not a punishment, it is the traveling home of your soul. Allow yourself to retreat when you need shelter and open when you feel safe. That is what it means to live with dignity. Anyone who asks you to abandon your sensitivity in exchange for their presence does not deserve a seat beside you, and you have finally seen that. That awareness itself is liberation. As the day fades and night settles, remember this: every small act of care you offer yourself now is a prayer of gratitude to the life moving within you. Cook yourself a small meal, straighten the drawer you've been avoiding, write a letter you'll never send, crack open a window for new air, wrap yourself in a soft blanket. Each tiny gesture is healing. Everything is gathering itself to guide you back to your original balance. And if, in some passing moment, you doubt whether you deserve the ease beginning to appear, repeat the old vow, as if ringing a mindfulness bell. Your soul will immediately remember its frequency. Let me invite you to mark this moment with one small action, like carving the first symbol into the trunk of an ancestral tree. If these words have found you and you want to hold this movement within, write in the comments, "I receive without guilt and in peace." Let that simple act be the key that turns the hinge of a new door. And if, in these days, homesickness knocks, don't banish it right away. Invite it to sit, pour it a glass of water, ask what it came back to remind you of, and when it's spoken, send it off with gratitude. Nostalgia is not a saboteur, it only wants to remind you of the things that once kept you standing, but it should not sleep over. Your inner home right now is craving light, a bit of order, a small vase of flowers, fresh sheets, and a few unexpected laughs. Leave yourself a note on the fridge. Place a soft scent on your pillow. Make room for joy to sit down. Before we close, look into my eyes like someone searching for a guiding flame, and listen to what I want to plant within you, like a seed certain to sprout. When the first rain arrives, you were not born to endure. You did not come here to fold yourself into pieces that please someone else's gaze. You came to build a sanctuary of soul, to heal the world through the stillness of your presence, to turn whatever you touch into renewal. And now, my Sagittarius, life with a memory sharper than you think, is beginning to return. All the goodness you once gave, even in silence. From this voice, a voice wrapping you like an embrace that holds without caging, I want you to remember this. With the calm of someone who has walked a full circle, your time has arrived. No darkness can extinguish the fire of a soul that chose not to give up, and nothing can reach you now in the same way it once did, because you have learned to listen to the rhythm of your path, to honor the emotional tides within you, and to turn every wave into a way forward. I stand at the beginning of that road with the patience of those who came before and the quiet joy of one who knows this truth. When Sagittarius decides to move forward, no storm can stop them, because every step now is lit by intuition, held by a heart beating for itself and for a life so much larger than any fear.